I'll start with Mr. Saha with maybe a mischievous question. We have the Union Education Minister from the state. How much does it help?
Okay. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me over here. And as you all know, education is a concurrent subject. Concurrent by we mean ki this federal government, that is government of India, and the state government can like legislate on the education matters. But as far as the implementation of education schemes are concerned, mostly it is done by state government. Like if you see all the plethora of schools that is there in the state is being largely run by the state government, barring a few like Kendriya Vidyalaya, Navodaya Vidyalaya and other schools. So if you see the total number of schools that is there in the state and the share of schools among them who are being run by state government will be largely lopsided, so to say. It's like more than 95% of the schools are being run by the state government. Schools, like we are running from the state government from our budget, we are paying their salary, rules are being framed. Regulation is being done by state government only because all the schools are to be regulated for Odisha Education Act. That is like we do. Having said this, Government of India also has a big role to play in terms of centrally sponsored schemes. So centrally sponsored schemes like Samagra Shiksha we are running for quite some time now. It's like more than 2 decades, where 60% of the fund is given by Government of India and 40% from the state government. And it started with Sarva Shiksha Abhijan, when the government envisaged that the child even at the remotest part of the state should get access to education. So that is being done by Government of India. So somebody from our state sitting in Delhi, he is there for the entire country, not only for us. So I would say it's good only. So it's like nothing bad in that.
So there is one scheme in Odisha, not scheme, there is an initiative, this high school transformation initiative. What is it about and how is it changing the scale and scope of education, especially school education in the state?
Yeah. High school transformation was started under the 5T initiative around 2020. So the vision goes like all the high schools, those are there in the state, will be transformed physically and also in academically. So we had some 8,600 number of schools, proper government school were around 5,000 odd, and some 2,000 odd government aided schools were there. So the state government took a decision that all these schools shall be transformed. So that were done in 4 phases. So now after 4 phases, Honorable CM has inaugurated all the schools. So now we can tell that the secondary school universe of Odisha has been transformed. And if you travel across the state, it will come as a stark thing when you are traveling. Wherever you go, our schools are there. Physical transformation in this sense, they have been given with a good physical makeover by giving them smart classroom, good toilets, good drinking water facility, library, lavatory. So these 5 components we will definitely see. Then comes the academic part, academic enrichment, because only changing the physical aspect of a school may not give dividend for the education sector as such. So in the aspirational component also a lot of things have been brought in, for the normal classroom transaction, what used to be very traditional in schools, like the teacher is teaching, the blackboard is there, he teaches from the book and the students are just listening. So in this new age technology thing, e-content has been provided. So all those smart classrooms have been given with smart boards where the content can be fed in. And the teachers are transacting now, invariably all the schools, all the classroom in high schools, they are teaching through smart board. So the challenge was to bring all the teachers on board, they have to be trained to operate those machines and all. So we'll be glad to know that more than 50,000 high school teachers have been trained for a 1-week course, where the course module was designed in such a way they will get hands-on training on the smart panel and everything, at the same time some kind of leadership training, because it's a long thing which will be done. So unless and until they are primed into it, they may not be able to deliver in long run. So I would say this transformation of high school thing is a mega thing which has happened, and we will see we have already seen the result, and manifold result will come in future.
Ma'am, Ms. Ukil, we were talking about smart classrooms. You also mentioned about how things are being improved, and I'm pretty sure your organization offers the best of the education. But at the end of the day, you are working in a private sector, and there is a large section of population which is not covered by the private sector. They probably cannot afford the quality education. Now, from your experience, because the government side is with you, sitting next to you, how do you see this to democratize this quality education in a state like Odisha? What are the steps that government can actually do, and how the private players can participate in that process?
Thank you, Kaushik. A very good afternoon. Jai Jagannath. Today we are talking about smart schools and about inclusion. So we are basically talking about smart on one hand. On the other hand, we are talking about the heart. Because when we talk about inclusion, it has to be something that comes from the heart. Therefore, smart plus heart together can lead to transformation in education, whether it's government schools or whether it's private schools. Today's smart schools are not defined by technology integration alone. Smart schools must be inclusive schools in order to be really smart. Today, if a nation has to be defined as a progressive nation, then it must have inclusion in its education programs or in its education system. As a private school, we do not deny admission to any child whose parents have the aspiration for educating their child in a school that gives them the best opportunities. We first, if it is a child with special needs, if it's a child that needs inclusion, we first request for an assessment report. If we feel that we can deal with the kind of need of the child, then we certainly get the child into our system. Today, technology has enabled differential learning strategies. And it is these differential learning strategies that help to integrate children with special needs into the mainstream system. There are many methods. It can be full inclusion, it can be partial inclusion, it can be mainstreaming, but it all depends on the intent of inclusion. There can be policies and programs. The NEP 2020 calls for 100% inclusion, but how we can translate this intent depends only on the teachers. It is teachers who hold the key to inclusion and to smart education. Unless and until we have a very strong and well-trained band of teachers, we cannot implement any of the programs. This is the truth. And for this, teachers need to be sensitized adequately. It's very easy to talk of inclusion, but let me tell everyone that inclusion is a very complex and a very complicated process. It's not just about framing a policy and then telling schools you have to implement this. It's, we go through it day after day. It's an emotional roller coaster every day when you have to address the queries of parents. You look at their expressions. You're handling the dignity of individuals. You're handling the self-respect. Every little child also has his or her own self-respect. So therefore, what we really need is sensitization in the entire ecosystem, beginning with the teachers, because it is the teachers who will carry it forward to the children. And then, of course, you have to get parents, you have to get the larger stakeholders into the entire system. And that's how it's going to work.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Tripathy, Odisha has a very sizable tribal population, and the marginalization of tribals is we hear a lot of national discussion, but in this state particularly, how the government is, because education plays a very serious role in inclusion, how the government is actually working on in that direction to create an inclusive education for this tribal population.
Thank you, India Today, for inviting us. Jai Jagannath. As you know, Odisha has one of the largest number of communities, tribal communities in the state. It is now 64 tribal communities, and almost 23% of the population of the state belongs to tribals. So this is a very large segment of the population. It needs to be properly addressed so far education is concerned. So we are running almost 5,800 hostels for the tribal students, and about 5,20,000 students are staying in the hostel. So we are taking all cares of them so that they get good education. One thing that is now the CBSE pattern education is one of the most demand among the parents. Keeping in that view, the government and the interest of the parents for the private education schools, other things. So the government in 2016 started Akanksha and Annesa scheme. Annesa scheme, now it is about 83 hostels we are running in the state. About 22,000 students are staying there. We are giving these students education in the private schools so that they can choose the schools in the locality, private education institutions, and the entire cost of the education as well as other facilities they need for the educations are being given by the government free of cost. That is a big jump, and there is quite an interest among the tribal communities for this private educational institutions. So we are giving education starting from class 1 to class 10. It's a great achievement by the state government to provide such type of education to the tribal children residing in the rural belts. Besides, you know, EMRS schools are also running, Conclave Model Research School, though it is a government of India scheme, but the state government provides all supports for the schemes. And now it is now 32 EMRS are running in the state, and in coming 2 to 3 years, it is going to be 114. So in these EMRS schools, all due care for the tribal students are being taken. And so far as another important aspect, the students, those are learning in our schools, they should not forget their identity, their tribal language, their cultural heritage, other things. Keeping in that view, as per the NEP issues, we are having 21 MLE interventions. And you know, these 64 tribes in the state, they are speaking 74 dialects. Only 6 tribes have their scripts or something like that. So for about 21 languages that is mostly spoken by these tribal communities, we have MLE intervention from class 1 to 3. And all the books we are providing free of cost through the OSEPA intervention and state government intervention to the schools. And the students are getting this MLE intervention in the schools so that they will not forget their mother language, and they should be comfortable, and their language should get proper promotion so that in the long run, the dominant language of the state should not be a dissuading factor in pursuing their own language. That is the intervention. Recently, one of the initiatives that we are going to take is Parichiti. That will have one dedicated room in all 422 high schools that we have in the state. That will be a cultural space for the tribal students studying in these schools. That will have all their language interventions. Language lab will be there for tribal language. Tribal language lab will be there. Besides, all the books related to their tribal languages, all intervention made by the government, all the cultural habits, all the different movies that we have prepared for the tribal people. About 400 movies we have prepared by the STSC and Academy of Tribal Language and Culture of both the sections of the SSD department. So we will be displaying all those movies in there is a dedicated room for that, So that will be a good place for the tribal students to learn their heritage, their language, their cultural identity, everything. Thank you.
Mr. Saha, you mentioned about training of 50,000 teachers. Madam Ukil, she also talked about teachers being the pivot of whole, even if we have to drive the national education policy or improve education overall. Now, apart from this training thing, we also need recruitment of new teachers, because that's a very critical area. What the state government is doing towards including more teachers, finding more teachers, and making the teacher's job lucrative or more respectable?
Yeah. So I can say like this, teachers, as far as number of teachers available per child, we call that PTR, like people-teacher ratio. Odisha has always been good in that. Like the PTR, it is learned that if the PTR ratio is 30:1, it is good. 30 means 30 child, 1 teacher. We are hovering around 2021 now. And I will just talk about secondary first, then to the elementary one. Secondary teacher recruitment during last 3 years time, around 18,000 teachers have been recruited, and which brings down our PTR to 17.1. So it is like we will be probably the topper in the country as far as the PTR is concerned.
At the moment?
After this 18,000 teachers who have been recruited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the last possible data available nationally for a comparative chart, Odisha was slightly lesser than the national average.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe it is maybe 2 years like back data. So during last 2 years time, in 3 phases, we have recruited more than 18,000 teachers. Like 6,500 in one, first 7,000
I think that's
in second.
commendable. But apart from the number, quantity, volume, the quality of the teachers, what are you doing about that?
The quality of the teacher, like when we recruit teachers, only those people can apply for the job who have proper qualification for that. They have to be a graduate, they have to be BEd degree, then only they can apply. And we conducted computer-based test, CBT, that is proper online examination. Only those who qualified, they have been recruited. And after the recruitment is over, as I told, they have been trained also. So quality of teachers, Odisha has never been a problem for quality of teachers, because I am also the product of the same education system only. So our teachers also were good, and I feel the same kind of teachers we have now
why
also.
I am saying so, the issue is in India, not just in Odisha. The quality of teachers is an issue because teachers' profession is not a very seen as a very lucrative job. कुछ नहीं किया तो teacher बन जाओ, जो trend all over India, we have seen that. Because of that, people, the good students, the cream of the students, they would aspire to become doctors, engineers, professors, IAS officers, but not teacher. That we don't hear people saying, students saying early in the early phases, what do you want to be? I want to be a teacher. So parents are not pushing them to become teachers. They are pushing them to become something else. So how do you get the best of the lot?
As you said, as far as career is concerned, people are still opting for medicine, engineering and other things. So I am not saying that people have left their medicine profession or engineering profession or coming to the teaching profession and
You
all.
have to make that lucrative.
Yeah, so but still considering the size of population India is, the number of graduates we are getting in, the number of postgraduates who are like getting out of the colleges. So even if we like वो doctors, engineers के number के बाद भी we have good number of people in the system to take care of the education sector. And I have been observing, like I have been SPD, the State Project Director for Odisha School Education Program Authority for last 2.5 years now. So all these 3 phases of recruitment I have seen. And whenever Honorable CM comes to attend that program where he like addresses all the newly recruited teachers, we observe their profile. The profile has been very good. The teachers who are like coming into our education system, they are very good. Why I say that? Among those teachers also, they apply for better jobs like into OAS and other exams, they clear that. So it means quality people who are otherwise could have been cleared some other things also, they are also coming over here. So I would say the quality is not a question mark, we are getting good people.
That's very inspiring to hear. The first question that I asked is whether having an education minister from the state helps or not. There is a reason. Because we hear a lot of discussion after this national education policy also about rewriting textbooks, not just history part, but geography, mathematics, other parts also. Again, when we have this kind of discussions, we always focus on the northern belt, the Mughal history or Rajput history. This is a question for three of you, because when we talked about tribal history also, we don't know anything much about Odisha. Same with Northeast, same with probably some other states also in the country. So now that we are getting new textbooks, what would be your suggestions, maybe through India Today platform, that how Odisha should be represented? Because probably we all know about Odisha is this only, that Ashoka conquered Kalinga. After that and before that, we don't know anything. So, and not just history, there is geography, the mining history probably of Odisha would be an interesting subject. So I believe ma'am would like to talk about this. She's the private person, so she can give straight suggestions.
I'm a very proud Odia, extremely proud of our rich heritage. Today, Odisha is drafting its new narrative. We are looking at Nua Odisha. And it's a moment of extreme pride to be a part of this time when Odisha is actually proclaiming its rich heritage, its rich culture, and its transformative governance to the world. We as a race have been extremely shy. We like to take a back seat. Maybe that is the reason why we have been neglected so far. However, today the story is different. You have been listening the entire morning to the kind of transformations that are happening in our state. And the same goes for education as well. I would like to share an anecdote. About 4 years ago, one of the best teachers in my school got a job in the Adarsh Vidyalaya, in the Odisha's Adarsh Vidyalaya. For us, a government job means obviously something that gives you security. In our times, the government jobs were not paying very well, but today, the government jobs pay better. When we discussed, we were very happy for her that she is going to a place that gives her job security. But what she told me actually stunned me at that time. She said, ma'am, today Adarsh Vidyalayas also have smart classes. So that is the story of transformation, and that is just the beginning. Today, our government schools, which have 80% of our children, they have benchmarked themselves to best practices in line with our Honorable Chief Minister's vision to empower every child through the power of education. I'm sure going forward, our history books will be judging our state, judging the Kalinga heritage, judging the state of Odisha with much more fairness, because we deserve it more than ever.
Mr. Tripathy, in just 30 seconds, if you could give the answer.
Yeah, the time, because of a stable government in the state for, so to say, about 24 years now, there has been a wide change in all the atmosphere, in all the development programs of the state. So now Odisha is marching forward. The school transformation is one of the best things that has happened to the school education in the country. Besides the health infrastructure increasing, the previous session that we are attending, you must be hearing the revolutionary impact that has created by the BSQI scheme among the masses of this state. Besides, road infrastructure in the state is one of the best. It is now a favorite destination for the investors in the country. Also, it is drawing second most amount of investment in the among all the states in the country. So, state is emerging, is marching forward, And as ma'am told, I am a proud Odia, and Odisha is marching forward, and we are fortunate that we are witnessing this change happening in the state, and hopefully the thing which are missing in the state for a quite long time. Now, in the coming days, we will be in a position to know the next generation will certainly appreciate the development that has taken place in the state, and the history will remember as a developed state in the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tripathy, Madam Ukil, Mr. Saha. I would not like to hold back people from going to lunch. Thank you. It was such a wonderful session. We learnt a lot. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yep.